Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. In the last month, we read Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 2, text 16. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sata, ubhayorapi drishtontas tvanayos tattvadarshibhi. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. Now, this month, we are discussing Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 17. The verses Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinasham avyayasyasya nakaschit kartum arhati. We'll go word by word. Avinashi, imperishable. Tu, but. Tat, that. Vidhi, know it. Yena, by whom. Sarvam, all of the body. Idam, this. Tatam, pervaded. Vinasham, destruction. Avyayasya, of the imperishable. Asya, of it. Nakaschit, no one. Kartum, to do. Arhati, is able. Translation: that which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This verse more clearly explains the real nature of the soul, which is spread all over the body. Anyone can understand what is spread all over the body. It is consciousness. Everyone is conscious of the pains and pleasures of the body, in part or as a whole. This spreading of consciousness is limited within one's own body. The pains and the pleasures of one body are unknown to another. Therefore, each and every body is the embodiment of an individual soul, and the symptom of the soul's presence is perceived as individual consciousness. This soul is described as 1/10,000th part of the upper portion of the head point in size. The Shvetashvatara Upanishad 5.9 confirms this. Balagra Shatabhagasya Shatadha Kalpitasya cha Bhago Jiva Savijñeya Sa Chanantyaya Kalpate. When the upper point of a head is divided into 100 parts, and again each of such parts is further divided into 100 parts, each such part is a measurement of the dimension of the spirit soul. Similarly, the same version is stated. Keshagra Shatabhagasya Shatamsha Sadrishatmakaha Jiva Sukshmo Swarupoyam Sankhya-tito hi Chitkanaha. There are innumerable particles of spiritual atoms which are measured as 1/10,000th of the upper portion of the hair. Therefore, the individual particle of spirit soul is a spiritual atom smaller than the material atoms, and as such, atoms are innumerable. This very small spiritual spark is the basic principle of the material body, and the influence of such a spiritual spark is spread all over the body as the influence of the active principle of some medicine spreads throughout the body. This current of the spirit soul is felt all over the body as consciousness, and that is the proof of the presence of the soul. Any layman can understand that the material body minus consciousness is a dead body, and this consciousness cannot be revived in the body by any means of material administration. Therefore, consciousness is not due to any amount of material combination, but to the spirit soul. In the Mundaka Upanishad 3.1.9, the measurement of the atomic spirit soul is further explained. Esho anuratma chetasa viditavyo yasmin prana panchadha samvesha प्राणैश्चित्तं सर्वमोतं प्रजानां यस्मिन् विशुद्धे vibhavati esha atma. The soul is atomic in size and can be perceived by perfect intelligence. This atomic soul is floating in the five kinds of air: prana, apana, vayana, samana, and udana. Is situated within the heart and spreads its influence all over the body of the embodied living entities. When the soul is purified from the contamination of the five kinds of material air, its spiritual influence is exhibited. The Hatha Yoga system is meant for controlling the five kinds of air encircling the pure soul by different kinds of sitting postures, not for any material profit, but for liberation of the minute soul from the entanglement of the material atmosphere. So the constitution of the atomic soul is admitted in all Vedic literatures, and it is also actually felt in the practical experience of any sane man. Only the insane man can think of this atomic soul as all-pervading Vishnu Tattva. The influence of the atomic soul can be spread all over a particular body. According to Mundaka Upanishad, this atomic soul is situated in the heart of every living entity, and because the measurement of the atomic soul is beyond the power of appreciation of the material scientists, some of them assert foolishly that there is no soul. The individual atomic soul is definitely there in the heart along with the supersoul, and thus all the energies of bodily movement are emanating from his part of the body. The corpuscles which carry the oxygen from the lungs gather energy from the soul. When the soul passes away from this position, the activity of the blood generating fusion ceases. Medical science accepts the importance of the red blood corpuscles, but it cannot ascertain that the source of the energy is the soul. Medical science, however, does admit that the heart is the seat of all energies of the body. Some atomic particles of the spirit whole are compared to the sunshine molecules. In the sunshine, there are innumerable radiant molecules. Similarly, the fragmental parts of the Supreme Lord are atomic sparks of the rays of the Supreme Lord, called by the name Prabha or superior energy. So, whether one follows Vedic knowledge or modern science, one cannot deny the existence of the spirit soul in the body, and the science of the soul is explicitly described in the Bhagavad-Gita by the personality of Godhead himself. This is a long purport by Srila Prabhupada, and it has various points covered in this purport. We can discuss this. Before that, we just have pranam mantra. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. नामश्रेष्ठं मनुमपि शचिपुत्रम् अत्र स्वरूपम् रूपं तस्याग्रजम् उरुपुरीं माथुरीं गोष्ठावतीम् राधाकुण्डं गिरिवरं अहो राधिका माधवाशम् प्राप्तो यस्य प्रथितकृपया श्रीगुरुं तं नतोऽस्मि वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुत पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Avinashi tu tadvidhi, yena sarvamidam tatam, vinasham avyayasyasya, na kaschit kartum arhati. That which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. So, avinashi tu tadvidhi, yena sarvamidam tatam, vinasham avyayasyasya, na kaschit kartum arhati. विनाशम अव्ययस्यस्य यस्य नचम न न कश्चित कर्तुम अर्हति. So this is the important point here. Vinasham avyayasya na kaschit kartum arhati. So vinasham is destruction, avyayasya is something that is eternal. So the destruction of something eternal is not possible. So this is the crux of this verse. Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvamidam tata. Avinashi tu tadvidhi. That which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. So this is the beginning of. So Bhagavad-Gita is always in the second chapter. The Bhagavan Sri Krishna is giving the details of what is the eternality. The problem that happens is when a living entity is taking birth, immediately there is identification with the external body, and that is the cause of all the distress in this material world. This identification with the material body. So therefore, it is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Yasyatma Buddhi Kunapetri Dhatuke Swadhik Kalatradishu Paumya Ijjadi Yatirtha Buddhi Salilena Karechich Janeshu Abhigneshu Sa Eva Gokhara. So this is a very beautiful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam which says that Yasya Atma Buddhi. So someone who is thinking through the intelligence Kunapetri Dhatuke, that the whole thing that is only existing is this bag of three different kinds of ingredients. So what is the three different kinds of ingredients? The kapha, pitta, and vayu. It is said there is, so the living entity is composed of kapha, pitta, and vayu. So bile, mucus, and air. So if someone is thinking that I am this, yasyatma buddhi kunapetri dhatuke, and swadhik kalatradeshu bhaumya ijyati. So one is thinking that everything, that this I am this external material body and everything related to me is mine. Swadhik kalatradeshu bhaumya ijyati. And someone is going to the pilgrimage, yat tirtha buddhi salilena karheche janeshu abhigneshu. So someone is going to the place of pilgrimage for taking bath in the holy rivers, which is good, but at the same time is not trying to associate with the saintly people there. So it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam that such living is unfortunately like gokhara, so like a cow or a donkey. So this is so the Shastra is very clear in this. So ahara nidra bhayamaitunam cha samanyam etat pashubhir naranam dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesho dharmena hina pashubhir naranam. So it's said in the scriptures that there are four things that are common between the other living entities and the human being. So that is ahara, nidra, bhaya, and maithun. So eating, ahara, nidra, sleeping, bhaya is defending, and maithun is reproducing. So these things are common between all the living entities. So what is it that is distinguishing a human being from other living entities? We'll say that it is intelligence. Of course, it is intelligence. And there is one more thing that differs, that helps in differentiating the human being from other living entities. That is dharma. Dharmo hi tesham adhiko visheshu. So dharma is the intrinsic quality of uh, of everyone, basically, of each and every living entity, there is an intrinsic quality, and that is dharma. So Srila Prabhupada explains, like for example, the dharma of this one of chili would be that it will be pungent. So dharma of sugar will be that it is sweet. So each and every living entity has the dharma, has its own dharma. And the original dharma is Jivera Swarupaya Krishnera Nityadas. Krishna se tatastha shakti Veda Veda Prakash. So that is said in Chaitanya Charitamrita that all the living entities are eternally related to the Lord, eternal servants of the Lord. So the real occupational duty of all the living entities is to serve the Lord. And when that is realized, when service to the Lord is realized, then there is no presence of hankering or lamentation. So this hankering and lamentation happens when the identification with the body is there. Then there is so therefore it is said, and Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kamshati samas sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti labhate param. So Krishna says that in Bhagavad-Gita that one who understands the eternal nature. So aham brahmasmi. So that is that is tattvamasi. So that these are all the Vedic aphorisms. So aham brahmasmi. Aham brahmasmi. What is it meaning? Is I am eternal. I'm eternally existing personality. So everyone, each and every individual is a personality, is a person. And when that realization is there about the eternality, that even though the externally we are always identifying through the body, because that's the material world. Material world is made of matter. So spiritual world is made of spirit. That's why it is called spiritual world. Vaikuntha. So what is Vaikuntha? Kuntha means anxiety, and Vaikuntha is Vigata Kuntha, without any anxiety. So we can understand here that matter, when with the identification with matter, there is anxiety. Why is there anxiety when there is identification with matter? Because the matter is constantly changing, and because we are eternal, we are eternally existing. And when an eternally existing individual is identifying with a constantly changing matter, there is anxiety. That causes anxiety, because the original nature is to be eternal. And when the original nature is to be eternal, and at the same time there is constant identification with something that is changing, that causes anxiety. Therefore Krishna says that in the Brahma Bhuta verse, that in that when the mind and intelligence is used to understand that we are eternal, the concept, because the problem with mind and intelligence is that is also on the level of matter in the material world. So bhumi rapo analo vayu kham mana buddhi revacha ahankaram ityam me bhinna prakritir ashtadha. So there are 8 different separated energies. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, there are 8 separated energies. Bhinna prakriti. Bhinna is different, and prakriti is the energy. So earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. So this mind, intelligence, and false ego are on the subtle platform. So the subtlety is keeping on increasing. It's starting with the earth, which is very gross. We can see earth. Then bhumi, apa, anala. So apa is the water, anala is the fire, bhumi, apa, anala, vayu is the air, and kham is the ether. So the level of subtlety is keeping on increasing every time. Ether is, we know that there is space. We know the space is existing. Everything is existing within the space. So we know that. So, but it is subtle. Space is not gross. And then after that come mana. So then the mind is even subtler. So indriyani parani ahor, indriyebhya param mana, Yo manasastu para buddhe, yo buddhe paratastu sa. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that, oh Arjuna, the senses are really strong. Indriyani parani aur. But more than stronger than the senses is Indriyabhya param mana. So the mind is more stronger than the senses. Why is mind more stronger? Because wherever the mind is, the senses will get dragged there. So therefore, Krishna says, "Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Mame vaishasi satyam te pratichane priyosime." So Krishna is saying that. Why is Krishna saying to give the mind? Because wherever there is mind, the senses will automatically go in that direction. So mind is superior to the senses. Indriyabhya param mana, yo manasastu para buddhe. So more stronger than the mind is the intelligence, because intelligence will kind of direct the mind. If the intelligence is properly situated, then the mind can be directed in that direction. So yo manastu para buddhe, yo buddhe paratastu sa. So that is what we are discussing here. So even higher than the mind is the real us, the real each and every individual. Uh, and that small spark that Srila Prabhupada mentions in this verse, Keshagra Shata Bhagasya Shatamsha Sadrishatmaka Jiva Sukshmo Swarupoyam Sankhya Tito Hit Chitkana. So there are innumerable particles of spiritual atoms which are measured as 1/10,000th of the upper portion of the hair. So this is one of the examples given of how minute this consciousness, the source of consciousness is. The source of consciousness is the spirit soul. That is that actually is the differentiator between a living being and a dead being. The differentiator is the presence of that minute particle of spirit soul, that is, whose influence is spread all over the body. So once that spirit soul is leaving the body has got no it has no value. Basically, the whole value of the living being is present because of the presence of the spirit soul. And when the spirit soul leaves the body, there is no value to the body. Therefore, it is extremely important to realize the who. So therefore, Krishna has given so many verses in Bhagavad Gita to keeps on constantly going back to that particular concept, to that particular reality, tattvata. So Krishna actually mentions tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadakshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. So that tattva, that is the truth. The realization of the truth is what liberates the living entity. When and the truth is ever existing. The truth can the absolute truth is ever existing. If the absolute truth was not ever existing, then it would not be an absolute truth. Satyam param dhimahi. So dhimahi. So it is when Srimad Bhagavatam starts, janmadhyasya yatha anvayaditarascha artheshu abhignya swarat. So it is mentioned about Krishna that janmadhya yasya asya yatah. So everything is emanating from the Supreme Lord. So janma adi asya. So everything is taking birth from the Supreme Lord. Anvaya itarascha artheshu abhignya. He is the total. He knows everything. The Supreme Lord knows everything. And swarat. The Supreme Lord is totally independent. So tene brahma hridaya adikave mohiyanti yat suraya tejo varim hridam yatha vinimaya dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi. So this is said in Srimad Bhagavatam that let me meditate upon the supreme absolute truth. This is only possible in the human form of life. In no other form of life this is possible, and that's why there is so much importance given about the human form of life. That's even what is happening is in the higher forms of life, like in the form of demigod, there is so much extra powers that are given, and there is so much. The life is so uh, extremely large, extremely huge compared to the human form. So then that inculcation to involve in the devotional service is not that strong. But only in the human form of life there is this. It is placed in the exact position where the rendering of devotional service can be done, and therefore Prahlad Maharaj actually says, Kaumaram macharet prajna, dharman bhagavatam iha, durlabham manusham janmam, tadapi adhruvam arthadam. So Prahlad Maharaj says that this engagement in prajna vadamsha, prajna is that the intelligence. So the intelligence and the mind has to be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. So Prahlad Maharaj says that actually this should start from the childhood itself. Kaumaram acharet prajna. And what is this called? Dharman bhagavataniha. So this is Bhagavata dharma. So Bhagavata, what does Bhagavata dharma mean? The intrinsic activities that has to be done in relationship of the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan. So whatever is related to Bhagavan is Bhagavata. So Dharman Bhagavatan iha. Why it has to be done from the childhood itself? Because Durlabham Manusham Janma. Because this human form of life is very rarely attained. This is Puman Bhavadbhiya Nataret Sa Atmaha. So it is said that Guru Karna Dharam. So the captain of the ship is the Guru. So and the ship itself is the lotus feet of the Lord. So when all these are available, when the winds are blowing in the favorable direction of engaging in devotional service, so Puman Bhavadbhiyana Taretsa Atmaha. So it is said that when all these favorable conditions are existing, and even then, if someone is not trying to engage in the loving devotional service of the Lord, then it is like committing kind of making no use of the human form of life. So therefore it is. So Prahlad Maharaj actually says this: Durlabham Manusham Janmam Tadapi Adhruvam Arthadam. So this human form of life is very rarely attained, and even when it is attained, it is Adhruvam and Arthadam. It is Adhruva. Dhruva is something that is always existing, but Adhruva is temporary. So it is temporary, but it is a great artha. It is a great valuable possession. So when the living entity is getting the human form of life, it is the most valuable possession. And because the mind and intelligence can be engaged in discussing about the scriptures and understanding the real nature. What is our real nature? So, for example, Srila Prabhupada here mentions many examples where he's telling about in the Mundaka Upanishad 3.1.9, the measurement of the atomic spirit soul is further explained. Esho nuratma chetasa viditavyo yasmin prana panchada samvivesha pranayischittam sarvamotam prajanam yasmin vishuddhe vibhavati esha atma. So it is said that the soul is atomic in size and can be perceived by perfect intelligence. This atomic soul is floating in the 5 kinds of air, prana, apana, vyana, samana, and udana, is situated within the heart and spreads its influence all over the body of the embodied living entities. When the soul is purified from the contamination of the 5 kinds of material air, its spiritual influence is exhibited. So Hatha Yoga, so Srila Prabhupada mentions, so Hatha Yoga is the yoga that is more famous because it's mainly related on the bodily platform, and it sometimes goes into the mind, the platform of the mind as well. But actually, the definition of Patanjali of yoga is yogas chitta vritti nirodha. So the real yoga is that which helps in controlling the turbulence of the mind. So the nature of the mind is that it is very turbulent. It is not. That's the nature of the mind. So therefore, Arjuna also says in Bhagavad-Gita, "Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavad dridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayuriva sudushkaram. So Arjuna actually says in Bhagavad Gita that he's saying that this mind is, oh Krishna, this mind is very chanchala. That means it is not staying at one place. It keeps on moving from one place to another. Uh, Pramati balavad dridam. It's very obstinate. It's like a small child. So if you look at the small child's activities, they'll go from one thing to another quickly in quick succession. There might be some time when they will be with one particular thing for a longer time, but most of the time it'll go on keeping changing whatever activities they're doing, one to another, this to that, this to that, this to that. So it's not constant. So and then it's obstinate. Balavad dridam. Tasyaham nigraham manye vayuriva sudushkaram. So Arjuna is saying that to control the mind is even difficult than controlling the wind. So and Arjuna is saying this, who is a pure devotee of the Lord. But then Arjuna is actually keeping himself in the position of the conditioned living entities, and that's why this Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Krishna. Otherwise, if Krishna did not actually keep Arjuna in that position of trying to understand what the spiritual nature is, then Bhagavad Gita would never have been spoken by Sri Krishna. So Arjuna is actually being in that through the Yoga Maya. So that is Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yoga Maya Samavrata Modoyam Nabi Janati Mami Bhya Paramavayam. So Krishna actually mentions that Naham Prakasha Sarvasya, that he is not revealed to everyone. Why? Because the Yoga Maya is under the covering of the Yoga Maya, of the divine energy. So there is Yoga Maya and there is Mahamaya. So Yoga Maya is engaged in the variety of pastimes in the transcendental realm, and Mahamaya is engaged in doing the variety of pastimes in the material realm. But the pastimes of the material realm is based on matter, so they don't have any significance as such, unfortunately, because matter is by nature destructible, as we see in this verse, whereas spirit is indestructible. So avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvamidam tatam. That which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. Vinasham avyayasyasya na kaschit kartum arhati. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. As we are saying, that Arjuna was always under the Yogamaya, under the divine energy of Krishna, and therefore that divine energy of Krishna made this situation so that Krishna could speak Bhagavad Gita, and that's how all the living entities then have access to this Bhagavad Gita, because Krishna spoke that to Arjuna. So Arjuna was saying that it's so difficult to control the mind. Then Krishna actually says, Asamshayam Mahabaho, Mano Durnigraham Chalam, Abhyasena to Kaunteya Vairagyena cha Gruhyate. So Krishna says to Arjuna that undoubtedly Arjuna. So Krishna is acknowledging that mind is very difficult to control. Asamshayam Mahabaho. So he addresses Arjuna as Mahabaho. The Mahabaho means the great, the one with huge shoulders. So he's a Kshatriya. So Arjuna is a Kshatriya, and he has got a great personality. So he's acknowledging that even if someone has a great personality, but one has to have a strong mind as well, along with having a. So asamshayam mahabaho mano durnigraham chalam. So undoubtedly, O Arjuna, O great man, person with a great prowess, this mind is very difficult to control. But how it can be controlled? Abhyasena to kaunteya, vairagyena cha gruhyate. So Krishna is saying that through practice and through detachment, the mind can be controlled. So those are the two kind of points that Krishna says, that abhyasena to kaunteya vairagyena cha gruhyate. And so yato yato nishchalati manas chanchalam astiram tatastato niyamyaitat atmanyeva vasham nayet. So this is again Krishna again says, Krishna gives another example of how mind can be controlled. He says that yato yato nishchalati manas chanchalam astiram. So wherever the mind is going, so mind is thinking of this, thinking of that, thinking of this, so different things. So yato yato nischarati, wherever it is going, manas chanchalam astiram, because it is by nature, it is not settled, it is unsettled, so it is going at different places. Tatas niyamyaitat atmanyeva vasham nayat. So Krishna is saying that all of those times, bring it back to the spirit soul, bring it back to the question of who am I? Who am I? So when that question arises, that so the mind is going everywhere. To whom is this thought arising? And then to me. So who am I? I am the eternal servant of the Lord. So it's a kind of three-way process. So one thought is arising. Whose thought is this? It's mine. Who am I? I'm eternal servant of the Lord. So every time going back to that same core, the core is that and that's the reality. So the reality is that all the living entities are eternally part and parcel of the Lord, Krishna. So we say this every time in our discussions about Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manashashtani Indriyani Prakriti Sthani Karshati. So this is a very, it's like a very seed kind of verse, even though there are four seed verses, but this particular verse is very prime in terms of Krishna actually directly saying that each and every living entity is my part and parcel. So that's it's a very kind of, so this particular verse is really helping us to understand how close each and every living entity is to Krishna, because they're part and parcel of Krishna. Something, for example, this hand is a part of this body. So how close is this hand? It can't be more closer than anything else, because it's part of the body. So it's so therefore this path of self realization is just a matter of uncovering who we really are. It's not something artificial. It is the basic. It is the original. It is our original nature. Our original nature is that we are eternal. The change is perceived because we are eternal. So Krishna actually says in Bhagavad-Gita as well about dehi nosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantaram prapti dhirastatra muhyati. So Krishna is saying that because there is the proprietor of the body within the body, there is kaumaram yauvanam and jara. There is the childhood, youth, and old age. So the perception of change happens because there is something unchangeable within us, and that realization that we are that unchangeable, we are not the external changeable, but we are the unchangeable, is what is can be done only in the human form of life. In no other form of life is it possible to do that. So Srila Prabhupada then mentions about the, according to the Mundaka Upanishad, this atomic soul is situated in the heart of every living entity, and because the measurement of the atomic soul is beyond the power of appreciation of the material scientists, so this is another thing where we can somehow we kind of know. So that's why the importance of faith is so much important. The Because it is known that, for example, we have the like if we look at the current situation in terms of the virus, it's something that is not seen. But even though it is not seen, we know that it is affecting us. So it's such a small thing, but it's causing a havoc in the whole world. So and then, but we are not able to see it, but it is causing a havoc in the whole world. So similarly, there is the consciousness within the body that is actually giving the body the life. The life is there because of the spirit soul, and it is the smallest thing. So as it is mentioned in there are three verses in this purport where Srila Prabhupada gives. One is the Balagra Shatabhagasya, then Keshagra Shatabhagasya, then Esha Anur Atma Chetasya Viditavyo. So there are three different verses from Shvetashvatara Upanishad 5.9. Then there is another Upanishad, and then there is Mundaka Upanishad. So there are three Upanishads. It's all quoting. It's quoted here. Srila Prabhupada quotes here about the minute nature of the spirit soul, and that is the cause of all the consciousness within the body, and the consciousness is, and because of the consciousness, the life is there. And it is also mentioned that the soul is present in the heart. So, and along with the Paramatma. So Krishna says, Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sannivishto. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hriddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. Brahman Sarva Bhutanam Yantra Rodhani Maya. So this is a very beautiful verse where Krishna is saying that the Supreme Lord in the form of Paramatma is situated in the heart of all living entities. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hriddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. And what is happening is Brahmayan Sarva Bhutanam Yantra Rudhani Maya. So it is said that the living entity is actually going in all the different species of life. Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani in what? In the instrument of Maya, in the external material body. So every time a living entity is getting a new body, a material body, and in that body the different activities are taking place. So therefore it is said idam shariram kaunteya kshetram iti abhidhiyate etadyo yoti tam praho kshetrajnam tadvidhi. So the body is the field, and the knower of the field is the spirit soul. So in the field the activities are being done, but the spirit soul is just the witness. It's the Ye pashyati tathatmanam akartaram sa pashyati. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad-Gita that prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudhatma karta hamiti manyate. So prakriti, so this all the activities are actually being carried out by the modes of material nature. So sometimes there is mode of ignorance and there is laziness caused due to that. Sometimes there is mode of passion and there is a lot of activities and a lot of interest in acquiring things caused due to that. And sometimes there is mode of goodness, and then we are involved in these discussions in the mode of goodness where there is more inclination to understand our real nature, which is totally different from mind, intelligence, false ego, and the body. So the real nature is totally different from all those gross and subtle elements. So this is so ahankara vimudhatma karta hamiti marnyate. So what is happening is when there is identification, so actually the spirit soul ya pashyati tathatmanam akartaram sa pashyati. So the spirit soul is like a catalyst in chemistry at all. We see there is a concept of catalyst. So what is the catalyst? Is something that exists in a chemical reaction, and that gives rise to the chemical reaction, but itself does not participate in that chemical reaction. So that is a catalyst. So that's a concept in chemistry. So therefore, so the real us that is eternally existing is like a catalyst. So the activities are going on externally through the mind, body, and the senses, but the real spirit soul it's like an electricity. If we give an example of electricity, the electricity causes a lot of appliances to work, but by itself we cannot say that it is doing anything in the sense that it's only giving the energy, and after the energy is given, all the appliances are doing their own work. So it is similar to that. So we are, so this, the spirit soul is giving the life to the whole body, and it gets animated. The body gets animated because of the spirit soul. But then after that, there is no role as such of the spirit soul, except that it's a mind intelligence and false ego that is causing a lot of things to be done. It's especially the false ego. The false ego is the kind of link that is existing between the subtle body, the gross body, and the spirit soul. So it's the kind of the link, and therefore, and depending on how much the false ego is, there is this. That's why it's called ahankara. Ahankara. So ahamkara is that I am doing everything. So that is the actual meaning of ahankara. So then so there is a difference between being confident and being proud, extremely proud or extremely arrogant. So they are two different things. So when you're being confident, we are knowing that things can be done, and it can be done because there is a power within me that is helping me to do. Arrogance is that I am the cause of everything. So that becomes arrogance. So in arrogance, the person can start doing things that are actually causing difficulties to other living entities. So when there is arrogance, there is a lot of chance that that living entity is causing a lot of disturbance, unfortunate disturbance. So that's the very small thin line of difference between confidence and arrogance. And so the real confidence can be attained when the understanding is uh, that that the activities are being done under the supervision of the Lord. It is the when there is humility. So the confidence and humility go hand in hand. There is when there is real humility, there is real confidence as well. Otherwise, when there is arrogance, there is pride. So Krishna. So it is mentioned in Bhagavad-Gita as well. Dhyayate Vishyan Pumsa Sangasteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamat Krodho Vijayate Krodhat Bhakti Samohat Smriti Vibhramat Smriti Bramshat Buddhinashat Pranashyati. So it is, so the different, how the living entity under the influence of the false ego can cause their own destruction, unfortunately. So we can see in the example of Ravana as well. He was really a great pandit. He's the at his times, or even if we see now, there was no greater knowledgeable person, pandit, than him. But what caused his fall down? That ahankara that caused his thinking that I can do anything. I can. So he had Ravana actually had the combination of both. Um, uh, so he had this. A Brahmin and a Rakshasi. So he had the kind of both their qualities because of his parents. So 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 that's where, so when there is dhyayato vishyan pumsa sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamat krodho bijayate. When there is too much attachment to attaining some material thing, and that attachment precludes everything else. So I just want that, whatever be the means. I'm not bothered about the means. I just want that. So if that is the case, and if a living entity is going like that, then sangat sanjayate kama. So then what is happening is there is the kama. So there is strong passionate attachment to that thing. Sangat sanjayate kamat krodho vijayate. And then when that thing is not attained, there is anger. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. Then when there is anger, there is loss of intelligence. There is bewilderment, loss of intelligence, sammoha, and smriti bramshat. And then when there is loss of intelligence, it's gone. Pranashyati. Because intelligence is something that is, as we discussed in the beginning, intelligence is controlling the mind. So, Indriyani Paranyahur Indriyabhya Paramana, Yo Manasastu Parabuddhe, Yo Buddhe Paratastu Sa. So Buddhi is the intelligence is controlling the mind, and the soul, spirit soul, is controlling the intelligence. So once we understand our real nature, that we are that smallest of small, but that smallest of small is getting the whole energy, everything from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in quality, it is the same, Satchidananda Vigraha. So Krishna is Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. So is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is an embodiment of truth, eternality, and bliss. And similarly, the living entities are a minute proportion, infinitesimal. So the Supreme Lord is infinite, and the living entity is infinitesimal. So that infinite is the same word there, but that esimal is the smallest, infinitesimal. But so even though in quantity there is difference, but in quality there is a lot of similarity, and because of that similarity, the living entity is uh, is always is always in touch with the Lord. The only thing is to get to kind of realize it through the subtle senses that we have, through the mind intelligence and the false ego as well. The false ego has to be given to the Lord. So the mind intelligence and false ego has to be given to the Lord as an offering. That Maye Vaitam Vitam Purva Eva Nimitta Matram Bhava Savyasachi. So Krishna actually says in Bhagavad-Gita that you just be an instrument, O Arjuna, because I have already done everything. So this is the understanding of the devotee, that the Lord is actually doing everything. We are just being an instrument, His instrument. So when we can somehow or the other be in that state of mind, that let me be an instrument of the Lord and let Him use whatever way He wants me to use, then then slowly we are trying to be in that state of mind, which is possible only to be in the human form of life. So in no other form of life this state of mind can be achieved, where one can think that one can be an instrument of the Lord. So nimitta matram bhava savyasachin. So Krishna actually says that you become my instrument. So once if we can become instead of becoming the yantra rudhani mayaya, instead of becoming the instrument of the material energy, we can try and become instrument of the Lord. And if we become instrument of the Lord, then there is always bliss and peacefulness and bliss. Bhoktaram yagyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shanti mrichati. So the real peace is attained when one understands three things, Krishna says. The first thing is Bhoktaram yagyatapasam, to know that Krishna is the actual enjoyer of all the austerities and sacrifices that are done. So the original enjoyer is Krishna. So that's the first thing. Sarva Loka Maheswaram. The second thing is to know that Krishna is actually Maha Ishwar, the greatest controller of everything. He is the real controller. Sarva Loka Maheswaram. So Sarva Bhutanam. The third thing is that he is the best friend of all the living. There is no better friend all the living entities. What is the reason? Because he is there in the form of Paramatma with all the living entities. All the living entities are Atma, minute. So Srila Prabhupada mentions in this verse about the difference. So such atomic particles of the spirit whole are compared to the sunshine molecules. So similarly, the fragmental parts of the Lord are atomic sparks of the rays of the Supreme Lord, called by the name Prabha, or superior energy. So whether one follows Vedic knowledge or modern science, one cannot deny the existence of the spirit soul in the body. The science of the soul is explicitly described in Bhagavad-Gita by the personality of Godhead Himself. This, of course, in terms of the science, sometimes it is difficult for someone who is totally into the scientific frame of mind to understand that there is because the science is totally based on chemicals, and so if no chemical is found that shows that that chemical is the cause of life, if there is no chemical, if no chemical is found, then the science says that no, this is not correct. So the science is sometimes the science can accept something that is a little bit illogical, but sometimes it cannot accept. And why sometimes it cannot accept in terms of the spirituality is because of the lack of shraddha. So that's why that is a very important ingredient. In Shri Krishna also says, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. So the spiritual knowledge can be attained only when there is faith. Otherwise, it's very difficult to attain spiritual knowledge. Material knowledge can be even for material knowledge there has to be some amount of concentration needed. Concentration and focus and determination and enthusiasm, everything is needed for material knowledge. So what to speak of spiritual knowledge, which is at such a subtle level. So the subtle level is, Srila Prabhupada actually mentions the subtlety of the real us, which is eternally existing. It is when the upper point of a hair is divided into 100 parts, and again each of such parts is further divided into 100 parts. Each such part is a measurement of the dimension of the spirit soul. So 100,000 part of the tip of the hair, 110,000. So, but that is an estimation actually. So in that, so when it's something is such subtle, how difficult it will be to understand it, and therefore it has to be understood through the means of sadhu shastra and Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So it is called Avaroha Pantha. So when something is coming down from the disciplic succession, Evam Parampara Praptam, Emam Rajarshayo Vidu, Sakalene Mata Yogo Nushta Parantapa. So because it is such a subtle science, it has to be understood through the disciplic succession, through the transmission of through someone who has actually experienced and understood it. So Jnaninas Tattva Darshibi. So Krishna tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadakshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. So because so how does, say for example, why is experience so much important? Experience, even when we are saying in material knowledge, we go to some expert. Who is an expert? An expert is someone who has got experience, and that's why we go to the expert, because the expert has the experience, vast amount of years of knowledge, having done research in the subject and having done practical things in the subject. Therefore, the person has the knowledge, and we go and get the material knowledge. So, what to speak of spiritual knowledge, where everything is on such a subtle level. So therefore, it is tattvadarshi. So that the person who knows the truth, the knowledge has to be acquired from such a person who has experienced and known the truth. And when that is done, and then when it is accepted in a way that is full of humility, when that knowledge is accepted in that way, pariprashnena sevaya. So that is said in Bhagavad-Gita, that the questioning is to be done in a humble way and through service. Then upadakshanti te jnanam. Then that knowledge will have an influence on us. If you're trying to get some knowledge through ahankara, through saying that I already know everything, but I'm just going to test this person whether he knows what I know. If someone is going to try to get knowledge through in the position of ahankara, in the position that I'm going to test this person whether he knows as much as I know, then that's going to be of no use. Even in the material field, it's not going to be of use. What to speak in the field of spiritual knowledge, which is at such a subtle level. So it's to conclude this verse, where it's saying that the Abhinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvam idam tatam Vinasham avyayasyasya na kashit kartum arhati. So it is very important to understand whatever difficulties we have, everything can be taken away just through this understanding, that the understanding that we are eternal, and that is reality. It's just a matter of realizing the reality. Once we realize the reality, then there is no lamentation or there is no hankering. The realization of reality helps us to overcome all the anxieties and all the hankering that we have, and then we can understand Krishna's statement like Manmana bhava mad bhakta madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishisi satyam te pratijane priyosime. That give your mind to me, become my devotee, uh, offer your obeisances to me, mad bhakta madhyaji mam namaskuru, offer your prayers to me, then surely you'll come down to me. I'm telling this to you because you're so dear to me. So when we try and discuss Krishna's statements, Krishna's talk in Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's mind that is revealed in Chaitanya Charitamrita, so all this, we're engrossed in these topics, then the person is there in the even though in the material world, the person is actually in the spiritual world. Even though physically the person might be in material world. There's a very beautiful verse that says Hridvag Vapurbhir Vidudhan Namaste Jiveto Yo Mukti Pade Sadai Bhag. So then when the heart, mind, and speech is engaged in the service of the Lord, then the Narayana Para Sarve Na Kutaschana Bibhyati. So when one has when one is in the surrendered mode to Narayana, then there is no cause of fear. Swarga apavarga narkeshu apitulyartha darshan. So whether one is in a heaven, whether one is in hell, or whether one is in material world, everything remains the same, because of the absorption of the mind, intelligence, and everything in the service of the Lord. So that would be the conclusion of this verse. Somehow or the other, let's try and think about the Lord whenever we can, and then think of His instructions, think of His pastimes, and then there is no hankering, no lamentation. There is always happiness and bliss. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.